So is it my screen visible? Anyone confirm, please? Just say yes in chat box.
Yes, yes, yes. On the third on
Oh,
12th.
okay, thank you. So as of now, we have seen Factories Act and Factories Rules. We have seen MSIC rules as well as gas cylinders rules, and then we covered the Boiler Act. Okay, and also we covered the workman compensation. Then we have seen environmental protection rules. I request everybody please be in mute. Okay. Then also we covered the production rules and water, and we have seen air and noise pollution rules as well. Okay. So today we'll start with SMPV rules, static mobile pressure vessels, static and mobile pressure vessels, which are unfired. So there is no fire involved. It is these pressure vessels are basically used for the storage and transportation purpose of certain gases. Okay. So these are the straight away requirements. So as I said, some of the examples will be storage of LPG bullets or CNG bullets or propane bullets. Bullet in the sense, if the containers or capacity of 2 ton, 3 ton, or 4 ton, or 5 ton, and 10 ton, they used to, in industry language, they used to call as bullets. These vessels or bullets stored in over the ground or above ground or underground. Okay. So, and also some of the trucks and tankers, which we would have seen in the traveling or on the roads for the transportation of any CNG or LNG or LPG. So those also comes under this static and mobile pressures. When I say static, which they won't move, they'll be fixed installations in the site. When you say mobile pressure vessels, these are nothing but the road tankers, which we use to transport various gases. Okay. Number one, the first requirement, it shall ensure that no person shall smoke or bring articles capable of causing ignition or attempt to commit any act which may tend to cause fire and explosion at any place where any compressed gas is stored, handled, or transported in a vessel. So we have to ensure that. So the owner of the facility has to ensure that we are not supposed to create any smoke or any such articles which can causing ignition or attempt to commit any act which may tend to cause a fire or explosion. It is nothing but prohibition of or smoking or any activity which can create a spark or which can ignite the gas which we are storing or transporting in a vessels. So every person or in charge of storing or handling and transport of compressed gas in vessels shall comply with the provisions of these rules and the conditions of any license issued thereunder these rules. So whoever is storing, handling and transportation of any compressed gas, they have to follow the conditions which are mentioned in the license. So here they have given the 10.3. I'll zoom it. So this is the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay. These are the special provisions. Prevent any person committing from any act of referring to this sub rule 1, and every person storing or compressed gas in a vessel, and every person in charge of or engaged in the storage, handling, and transport of such gas in vessels shall at all time comply with the provisions of these rules and observe all precautions for prevention of accident by fire and explosion, or prevent any person from committing such acts which are referred in this. This is the sub rule. When I say main rule, the main rule is the precautions, special precautions against the accidents. When you say another one, it is a sub rule 1. Okay, so these are the various provisions they have to follow. And the organization intending to be recognized as a competent person or inspector shall obtain an authorization from the chief controller, submit an application in the form prescribed in the appendix 3 within this with the scrutiny fee prescribed in the schedule 1b. So any organization which they have to act as a competent person. So for example, we used to see the TPI, third party inspectors. So they are, if they want to act under this SMPV rules, they have to get authorization from this chief controller with the specified applications. One is the form in the appendix 3 with the security fee, which is mentioned in schedule 1b. Well, so who is meant by competent person? We have seen a definition of competent person in Factories Act. So here also similar way. It means any professional organization comprising of at least 2 persons recognized by a chief controller for such gases and vessels and for such period as may be specified as a competent for carrying out test, examination, inspections, certification for the installations and transport vehicles as stipulated in these rules. They will be called as a competent person. So provided here the chief inspector will give the authorization for these people. Okay. Any organization comprising of at least 2 persons. If you say any company as a TPA company, they should have a manpower of minimum of 2 and above. Okay. When I say these are the various designatory TPs, as a authority they used to act: controller of explosives, joint chief controller of explosives, deputy chief controller of explosives, or controller of explosives, or deputy controller of explosives. Like for us, inspector of factories, deputy inspector of factories, or chief inspector of factories, like that. Okay. When I say cylinder, we should know the definition. When I say pressure vessel, which is above the 1000 liters. When we say cylinder, the volume exceeding 500 ml, but not exceeding the 1000 liters, intended for the storage of any compressed gas. Okay, that is the difference between a gas cylinder. This we have seen in the gas cylinders rules 2016. When we say inspector, so it means any professional organization recognized by a chief controller for certifying pressure vessels and their fittings after carrying out a stage-wise inspection during fabrication as stipulated in the rules, as to ensure that the pressure vessel are designed and constructed in accordance with the IS 2825. So here what we do, an inspector, while doing the fabrication of these vessels, in the sense while manufacturing of these vessels, these inspector will do on a stage-wise inspection to meet IS 2825. Okay. Then when it's a pressure vessel, it means a closed metal container of whatever the shape, intended for the storage and transport of any compressed gas, which is subjected to internal pressure and whose water capacity exceeds 1000 liters. So here the capacity of pressure vessel is 1000 liter and above, which acts, or the pressure is above the atmospheric pressure. Okay. And these are the few equipments which are not come under pressure vessels, which are unfired stage. Safety relief device, it is nothing but PLVs or SLVs, etc. Okay. So now we have seen the basic definitions. So while ongoing sections, it will be helpful. Okay. A valid of a recognized competent person or inspector should be renewal on basis of performance report and submission of certificate of physical fitness for the further period of 2 years by the concerned authority. So the inspector or competent person, they have to take the renewal of their licenses initially recognized under clause 1 or clause 2 shall be valid for 1 year. Subsequently, before on performance of report or submission of certificate physical fitness obtained from a government hospital, a validity recognition may be renewed or a further period of 2 years at a time up to attaining the age of 70 years. So still 70 years, they can be act as a inspector or competent person. Initially, they will get for 1 year, and later point of time upon submitting the renewal certificate upon the valid recognition and also the fitness certificate, physical fitness certificates, they'll be having a validity of every 2 years up to 70 years. They can do a renewal. Then a signed copy of certificates for inspection and testing under Rule 13, 18, 19, 33, and 43 shall be submitted to the licensing or renewing authority along with the application of the grant or renewal of recognition. Basically here, a signed copy of certificate for this testing under these sections shall be submitted to the licensing authority for renewing the authority along with the application. Well, see 13. First is design code. So on what basis the design of the vessel have been done. Then we have 18. So I'm not going through the all the details because it is not necessary. Here we should have only the understanding of this requirement. Then 18 is talking about the fittings, and then 19 is talking about the periodic testing of the pressure vessels and services, and 33 talking about the certificate of safety. Also we have 43. It is about the certificate of safety. So we have to submit for these under these sections for the getting a renewal for your vessels. Okay. And the vessels must follow IS 2825 or ASME standards. Okay. And other standards which are mentioned here, okayed by the chief controller. Hydrogen vessels must meet the ISO standards. Okay. And also a test and inspection certificate issued by the inspector and approved fabricator shall be furnished to the chief controller or controller authorized by him. So here it is a report requirement. So the test and the inspection certificate issued by the inspector and approved fabricator shall be furnished to the chief controller, saying that he will get the authorization for the filling of a specific vessel. The design pressure of the vessel shall not be less than the vapor pressure of the gas in the vessel at 550 centigrade or Celsius if the vessel is metal for the storage of any liquefiable gases. When I say a design pressure of the vessel shall not be less than the vapor pressure of the vessel. When I say vapor pressure, liquid to vapor ratio. For example, if a drop of a liquid, the volume it will occupy is lesser. One drop of a liquid, when it converts to gas, the volume which occupy will be a higher side. So that aspect they have to consider. Okay. Any questions? No. Okay. it shall be ensured that the vessel used for the storage of refrigerated gases shall be designed in accordance with the temperature requirements under the design code referred in the sub rule 1 of the rule number 13. This. These are the design codes. So they have to follow as per the design codes while manufacturing any vessels which they are using for the refrigerants. Okay. So the shell of the vessel and its manhole nozzle shall be insulated with a material approved by the chief controller. The entire insulation may be covered with a metallic jacket and flashed around the openings so as to be weather tight. It is basically applying a setting up of a jacket to protect the gases from the outside temperatures. And it shall be ensured that the design and service temperatures of the cryogenic pressure vessels shall not be higher than the normal boiling point of the cryogenic liquids. Then it shall be ensured that the maximum quantity of the liquefiable gases filled into any vessel shall be limited to the filling density of the gas. So what is the based on the density of the gas, you should have to fill that. When it's a density, the weight of the gas, it has to be ensured. And also the water capacity of the cryogenic pressure vessels shall be rated in terms of gross water capacity and the allowable water capacity in liters at 15 degrees. So when I say cryogenic, these are filled under water state based on the water capacity of the vessels at 15 degree centigrade. And every pressure vessel must be used only for the approved gases. Using it for the other gases need a prior approval and also license amendment from the chief controller. Same way like for the gas cylinders, if you are changing from one gas to other gas, there we need to get the approval. Same way, if you are changing the pressure vessel from one gas to another gas, here also you should get the amendment of the license for that vessel from the chief controller. And every pressure vessel shall be painted and have the metal plates permanently fixed, showing the particulars of the prescribed in the rules. We'll see what are the particulars. Rule number 17. So, marking and painting of the vessels. So, what are the various details? You should be marked. Every vessel shall have a metal plate permanently fixed to it, showing the following particulars, which shall be visible from the ground level, and manufacturer name, chief control approval number. For each vessel, you have a unique approval number, vessel identity numbers, standard code which is the vessel is constructed, what is the code or standard the vessel is manufactured, official stamp or design pressure, date of initial hydro test they perform, hydro test pressure test in kg per centimeter square, there you have to mention the results, water capacity, gas capacity and other details. These are the various details which has to be permanently displayed on the vessel. And vessel connections shall be designed and attached to the vessels in accordance with the design code.
Sir,
Sorry?
Sir, how will conduct hydrostatic pressure test, sir?
So basically, they will fill a water up to the 70% or 80%, then they will pressurize to see the any cracks or leakages, etc.
Oh.
Yeah. When I say hydro, it is nothing but water. They will fill the water, then they will apply.
Sir,
Yes.
Now we are telling you these are all comes under which question, sir?
These all come under IS 105 with respect to static mobile pressure vessels rules. Yeah. No, it is not a question. It is one of the topic in IS 105. It is one of the topic actually. There might be a question on this topic, or there might not be a question will come from this topic. Okay, this is one of the topic. and then vessel connection shall be
Point
designed
of
and
view,
attached. Yeah, sorry.
in my point of view, in examination, how will the examiner will ask
They'll ask you about
about this
explain
topic?
about, yeah, explain about static mobile pressure vessel rules, or they ask you to write about what are the obligations under the static mobile pressure vessel rules, or they may ask you what are the requirements under static mobile pressure vessel rules, or they'll ask you what are the various requirements under static mobile pressure vessel rules. Whatever the way they ask, you can write these points. So in the sense, these are the requirements. We have to write in a point that, okay, we have to provide the signboards, or we are not supposed to allow any person or with a smoke or any articles while where the gases which are stored. Such a way we have to convert these points into the requirements. So whoever is storing these compressed gases, they should follow the all the rules and regulations under the SMPV rules. Likewise, you have to write, and you have to say that license requirements. Under license requirement, we can write if at all a competent person, any organization or any person to be act as a competent person, so they should get the valid license from the chief controller or deputy chief controller. And you can write about who is mean by competent person, and you can write about who is mean by inspector. So here we are telling that whenever you are manufacturing any vessels, they have to meet IS 2825. That is also one requirement. So you have to rephrase these requirements into your answers. So here I can give you the overall idea, so that out of these points you can make your own notes. Okay. Because we don't know exactly how the question will be asked, so that I can explain you all the requirements. So accordingly, you can write based on the question which they asked in the examination. Okay. Okay. So we talk about particulars or the things which are supposed to be marked on the vessels, and also the vessel connection shall be designed and also attached to the vessel in accordance with the design code referred in Rule 13. So in the Rule 13, we have various design codes. The vessel fittings has to be meet that requirements of those codes. Okay. Then another requirement, every vessel shall be provided with 2 or more pressure relieving devices in accordance with the provisions of the design codes under rule number 13. So 2 or more relieving devices, nothing but pressure relieving devices. 1 or more has to be installed as per the code. As per the code, in the sense, maybe in the code they would have mentioned the quantity of the pressure relief devices. And also every vessel shall be provided with at least one pressure gauge. So when you say at least, you can keep 2 or more, but at least one vessel, or for one vessel, one pressure gauge must be there to understand the pressure of the gas which is inside. And also the valves to the cryogenic pressure vessels for hydrogen must comply with the ISO 21011 or any standard or code which is accepted by the chief controller. So the pressure vessels or the valves which they used in this vessels, it has to meet this standard. Otherwise, any other standard which is accepted by the chief controller also can be used. Valve in the sense for movement of the material from the vessel to the pipelines, or just to flow of the material, or to take the gases or material out of the vessel, like ball valve, gate valve, such kind of valve it is. All the vessels shall be hydraulically tested, and also the competent person at the pressure marked on the vessel at interval of not more than 5 years after the first test, and vessels containing corrosive and also toxic gases, a periodic test shall be done at an interval of 2 years. So here the TPA we do not more than 5 years after a first test, and vessels which are containing corrosive and toxic, they do a periodic testing of every 2 years. Then cryogenic pressure vessels and also vessels for liquid carbon dioxide made of stainless steel shall be periodically tested with a pneumatic pressure at least 1.1 times of a maximum allowable working pressure. So above the working pressure, 1.1 times. When it is a 100 kg, so the test pressure will be 110 kg. Then carbon dioxide storage and transport vessels made of carbon steel shall be hydraulically tested at the marked test pressure as per the design and fabrication code. So here on each pressure vessel, you see design pressure, test pressure, and working pressure. You will see the 3 different readings. So almost design pressure and working pressure mostly same, and design pressure and working pressure mostly same, close to, or the test pressure will be almost, sometimes the manufacturers say that sometimes 1.5 times, mostly that is the standard test pressure they used to define. And also the mounted and underground vessels shall be periodically inspected at a specified in schedule 3, as specified in schedule 3. So when you say mounted, which are nothing but above ground, when you say underground, which are nothing but inside the concrete. So the vessels are inside the bunds, or those are covered vessels. Ammonia Horton spear. When you say Horton spear, it is nothing but, if you would have seen any refineries, we would have seen a circular portion of vessels. They used to store the gases or the liquids. Those are nothing but Horton spear. It is a circular vessel, a ball shape of vessel where they used to store the substances. Shall be subjected to a non-destructive testing and also hydro testing at intervals specified in these rules, which is 19.5. It's 18. So ammonium hot spear, which is periodically off after 2 years of its installation, and the inspection shall be consistent and also detailed non-destructive testing vessel. Also, a second periodic examination shall be carried out after 3 years of first inspection and shall involve a non-destructive testing and a hydro testing of the spear, and subsequent periodic inspection include NDT. Hydro test shall be carried out every 5 years. Here, the first test after 2 years of installation, and then after 3 years you do from the first inspection. For example, it is installed in 2010. You do in 2012. Then 2015 you do a second test after first inspection. From there, from 2013 you do every 5 years. For example, 2013 to 5 years, 2018 you do a testing. From there, every 5 years you go for subsequent periodic inspections. Okay. In the case of any major repair is carried out on a Horton spear, the vessel shall be subjected to NDT and hydro test with original code of construction and also procedure approved by the chief controller. In the case of any repair happens, 19.5D. So this point. So if any major repair is carried out on Horton spear, the vessel shall be subjected to a non-destructive testing and hydro testing in accordance with the original code of construction and procedure approved by the chief controller, and the vessel shall be treated as new vessel for subsequent periodic inspection as per the procedure noted above. So they have to do a periodical inspection in the case of any major repair is carried out. During the periodic inspection, rule number 19, the licensee, which means the owner, may perform hydro test as per the design code for hydrogen vessels, and fitness assessment must be follow API 579. It is an American Petroleum Institution 579, and the standards under rule number 13 or others approved by the chief controller. So they have to follow those tests based on these designs and also the codes. In carrying out of periodic test, reference to rule number 19, adequate precautions specified in the rule shall be taken. So there we have to take the appropriate precautions as a safety requirement. So it is just an isolation. What are the various precautions to be taken care? Before test is carried out, each pressure vessel shall be thoroughly cleaned and examined as far as practicable internally, also for the surface defects, corrosion or foreign matters. During the process of cleaning and removal of sludge, and due precaution shall be taken against fire and explosion, etc. Okay. And also evacuation or degrazing and transport vessel used for flammable toxic corrosive gases shall be carry out the gas tanker degassing station licensed premises equipped with degassing or evacuation facilities approved by the chief controller. So if it is in a roadside tanker vessels, in such case, what we have to do, it has to be taken to the degassing station where they have a facility to degas the vessel and carry out the testing of the vessels. Okay, I'm stopping here. We can continue.